It's kind of weird to start a video by saying, hey everybody, because, I mean, what else are you supposed to say? Hey some of you, but the rest of you, no greeting. No greeting to you. Today what I want to talk to you about is my beginnings on YouTube, to give you like the origin story, like what got me into it, and specifically why I talk about Myers-Briggs stuff from time to time, how I decided on that niche. And I hope by watching, you can get a little bit more context for the channel, for who I am, and if you yourself have a channel, I hope maybe I can serve to inspire you a little bit. Because if I can do it, like anyone can do it. I haven't been on YouTube that long. My very first video, it's easy to remember when it was July. Jeez. January. It was January 1st, 2017. So I've only been on YouTube for a year and 7 months as of right now. And for a lot of that time, I was mostly inactive. So I posted my first video January 1st, and I started posting somewhat regularly, like once a week, once every 2 weeks, until March. And then at the end of March, I stopped posting for a long time. Why? What would make me stop posting, you might wonder? Well, I got into a relationship. That will kill any creative endeavor if you let it. And it was a good relationship, but it sort of became like everything. It became my entire world. And that's why I let YouTube drop for a while. Plus, the other thing is, it's very easy to let a channel drop when you have, like, I don't remember how many subscribers I had, 70, 75. It's really easy to just walk away from it, because I look back on it and I'm really regretful that I did that. It's like not very grateful, is it? To just take for granted that you have 70 people who want to hear what you have to say and to just walk away from it, Between March and November of 2017, I only made one video, and it was basically just saying, I'm not dead. And then in November, I started to post again as my relationship began to cause me like anxiety, as I think I subconsciously knew that it was over, and I was fighting with that. And YouTube was my release, my creative outlet as I was dealing with pain. And looking back on my life, I feel like this is a common thing, is that the times that are most painful and uncertain in my life are the times when I've been most creative. This is not always 100% true, because when I was in graduate school, it was the happiest time of my life, and I was extremely creative then. But, when I'm in pain, I'm also creative. And then when that relationship ended, I had a lot of free time. So I said, I'm going to do YouTube seriously. And so in 2018, I started posting regularly, and the channel took off beyond my wildest dreams, really. And I've made a promise to myself now to not let a relationship become my whole life, like to prioritize my life above any kind of relationship or anything like that. It's hard to find a balance, because you don't want to just become a shut-in workaholic, but I don't know. This is off topic. And the thing is, when I posted that first video in January 1st, 2017, that had been after at least a week, if not longer, of trying to post my first video. I recorded at least 3, if not 4 other videos before that, and just felt like they all were garbage. And I was like, oh, I'm not getting it right. Because, it's like, maybe when you're in the car by yourself, you kind of talk to yourself. You imagine talking into a camera maybe, or an interview. You're being interviewed by someone else, and you're just talking about what you think. And that's easy. And you're like, man, if I just turn on a camera, this would be great. And then you turn on the camera and you realize this isn't great. Even this video, I've been thinking about it for a couple hours. It's not turning out as well as it was in my brain. One of my first videos that I recorded and never released was literally me kind of like, it was really, really like subdued, and I didn't know how to, talk to a camera. So, and I watched it back later, and I was like, oh my gosh, why am I so boring? People in the comments are like, you're still boring, Frank. Loser, you're still boring. Anyway, don't hate, congratulate. That's all I have to say to that. But July, I keep saying July. I'm trying to say January. January 1st, 2017, I had been out to a party, 2 parties, and at the end of it, I was just feeling really depressed and lonely. And it was 4 a.m. I had had several drinks hours earlier, but they'd kind of worn off, so I was in that kind of really state. And I just flipped on the camera and I just recorded a really raw video, didn't edit it, and just posted it before I had a chance to question if it was a good idea or not. And I think it was okay. I think what happened was I had just worn myself out enough that night, and I was at the end of my rope in a way. I mean, I wasn't like really at the end of my rope where I was like, gonna do something drastic, but I was just fed up. And that broke down my filter, and I was just able to vent for 15 or 20 minutes. Like, it's not a good video, but it was a start, and it wasn't perfect, but I had to put out that first one, and I got some people watched it. I don't remember how many views it got immediately, but it got some, and it got a comment right away. And it's very, like, I realize now that shouldn't be taken for granted, because there are lots of people who have channels where it's like no one's watching, no one's commenting, and so even to get a few views and a comment right away, you got to be grateful for that stuff. Going from there, I just kind of made other vlogs, and I loosely tied in the INFJ thing. I mean, that was in the title of my first video, and I mentioned it in times after that, but I never really dug deep into Myers-Briggs stuff or being an INFJ. I kind of just talked about myself and loosely related it to it. And it wasn't really until 2018 where I started to really learn more about it and to try to make much more specific INFJ videos. Now you might wonder, why INFJ videos? Like, where did that niche come from? Because admittedly, I am not like an expert in Myers-Briggs. There are many other things that I know a lot more about. I know way more about the Beatles. Like, if this is my level of knowledge for Myers-Briggs, my knowledge for the Beatles is up here, above my head. So why did I pick Myers-Briggs? Good question. Let's sit through a commercial first, and then I'll tell you when we come back. Competitive pricing. All right, thanks for sitting through that commercial. So I picked Myers-Briggs because I wanted to express myself in a vlog where I was just talking about how I felt, and I had seen other Myers-Briggs vloggers who kind of did that thing, and really the biggest influence, well, maybe I'll get to that in a minute, but one thing I want to address really quick that kind of gets under my skin a little bit is when people implicate or maybe just say outright that it's like that I never took the test, and then I just like read a dubious article somewhere about INFJs, and I just thought, man, they're special and unique and the rarest type, and I want to be that. And then I just ran with it or something silly like that. No, that's not what happened. The way I got into Myers-Briggs was my brother had been with some other people, friends who know me well, and they were talking about Myers-Briggs. Now, none of them are experts, okay? Like, I'm not saying that they have any expertise, but my brother came back and he said, yeah, we were talking about this personality test. We think you're INFJ. And I was like, yeah, whatever, I don't care. So I don't know how much time went by, if it was weeks or months. I seem to think it was months. And it was one of those things where, when you have something in the back of your mind and you're like, I need to look into this more, but you don't care enough to do it. That's sort of what it was like. I was like, I should look more into this personality test, but whatever. Eventually, I finally got to it. I took the test, or I took one of the free tests, and that's another hypocritical thing, right? I'm always saying how bad the tests are. They're inaccurate. They're going to mistype you. but that's why we're all here. We took a free test, okay? Maybe some of us who have the coin to blow took the real one, but so I took a test. I got INFJ, but I had forgotten what my brother told me. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know what the letters meant. I mean, I could guess what I and E and F and T meant, but everything else was like, who cares? I didn't know the rarity of the types. I just wanted to see what my result was. And I went to my brother and I said, what was the type you said? And he said INFJ. And I'm like, oh, that's what I got. So maybe there's something to this. And that's what really sparked my interest. Had he said, oh, we thought you were some other type, I would have been like, whatever. I'd probably never thought about it again. Or had he said, for instance, ISFJ, and that's what I had gotten, it still would have been a very big moment for me. It would have felt good, and I would have been interested in it. Even though ISFJs are 13% of the population, they're not rare and special. And I honestly didn't care about that stuff. So then I started to research, and I found INFJ vloggers on YouTube, and specifically Tom Davison, and his channel really opened my mind to the possibilities of what you could do with a vlog. I mean, not that he was doing anything innovative, but I was just captivated by the way that he could talk about his experiences and his feelings in a way that resonated very strongly with me, and then kind of tied into this common thing that we supposedly have. Tom, if you're watching, I really wish you would come back to YouTube. I mean, I understand why you stepped away, or at least I think I do. And I wouldn't blame you if you don't come back, but we'd all love it if you did. And I just want you to know you inspired me to do this here. So I don't know why I said it that way. You inspired me to do YouTube, so thanks. I mean, at the same time, I was also watching other YouTubers, like, I was big into Casey Neistat and stuff like that, but there's no way that I can replicate Casey Neistat, but I saw Tom Davison singing in front of a camera and just talking about, his life, and I was like, that sounds like something that I could do, and maybe other people could relate to me the way I relate to him. And so that's why I decided to go that route. And I think I subconsciously knew that you kind of have to have a niche in YouTube if you want anyone to watch your videos. Like, if my first video had just been like, I'm depressed on New Year's, would anyone have watched it? So maybe it's shoehorning in the INFJ thing, but I didn't do it with bad faith. I'm not encouraging you to watch the video because it's not very good, but I think I tied in loosely enough. Once it got around to this year, I decided I wanted to try my hand at making things that were much more specifically geared toward the niche. Because you've got to realize, I'll go into this more in depth when I talk about tips for starting your YouTube channel, but you have to realize nobody cares about you, okay? When you start a YouTube channel, nobody cares about you. And so when they go to watch your video, they are going to watch it for what can they get from you? What information can you impart to them? Or what entertainment can you give them? For a person to just talk to a camera and they have 0 subscribers, it's difficult to get anyone to want to watch that unless you can tie it into something that they can relate to. And so when people jump into the Myers-Briggs niches, the INFJ niche, it's because, like me, they realize I've got to have some point of reference for everyone. And in 2018, I realized I need to start providing more value in the videos. And so you need to get super specific in what you're talking about so that people who are looking for the information can find it, and then they can get it from you. And I feel like in many ways, me doing more personal vlogs actually is a way of helping other people to, make sense of themselves. I allow myself to kind of be a mirror for people to bounce their own experience off of. And if you relate to it, you do. If you don't, you don't. And that's what I offer. I can tell you I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't get comments fairly regularly that say, wow, this is a great help. You know, your videos have shown me that I'm not alone in the world. Did you ever see the Mr. Magoo Christmas Carol where the song, I'm all alone in the world? I'm all alone in the world. Yeah. If you didn't click away, you're going to click away there. So maybe I should just end it.